For 20 years, he never touched water, not even to wash his face. But when a bold young journalist stepped inside his house, she found something so disturbing it changed everything the village believed about him. Everyone in the village of Omachoko knew one thing for sure. Chief Ugu was the richest man anyone had ever seen. His house had golden doors. His land stretched farther than the eyes could see. He had more goats than the village market had customers. But there was something strange, something no one could understand. For 20 years, Chief Ugu had not touched water, not a drop, not a bath, not even to wash his face. Children whispered stories about him. They said he feared soap. Some believed he made a deal with his spirit. Others claimed his money would disappear the day he became clean. At first, people laughed. They called him the walking smell. Women covered their noses when he passed. His clothes were always the same, long, dark wrapper that hid the dirt. His fingernails were long and his feet black like roasted yam. Yet, no one ever dared question him to his face. Why? Because Chief Ugo was not just rich, he was powerful. He gave money to the chief of the land. He sponsored weddings, funerals, even the village harvest festival. If a child was sick, Chief Ugo paid the healer. If a woman was widowed, he gave her a bag of cowries. But even in all his kindness, he never let anyone touch him, and he never entered water. Many years ago, when Ugo was still a young man, he had nothing. He was thin, barefoot, and always hungry. His father died early, and his mother washed clothes for food. Then one day, something happened, something no one truly understood. He went into the sacred forest. The elders had warned everyone never to go there. That place holds old spirits, they said, but hunger can make a man brave. Ugo entered the forest barefoot, carrying only a small black pot his mother gave him. He came back 3 days later with gold in his hands. Everyone asked questions, but Ugo said nothing. He just smiled. From that day, everything changed. He started building, buying, lending. Soon the chief himself came to borrow money from Ugo, and when the chief bowed, the entire village followed. But it wasn't long before people began to notice something. Ugo had stopped bathing, not just once or twice, but completely. One man, a close friend at the time, tried to ask him, Ugo, he said, what harm can water do to a rich man? Ugo only stared at him with cold eyes. The day I touch water again, my story will end. No one asked again. Years passed, and many forgot what Ugo looked like when he was young. They only knew the man who walked around smelling of sweat and smoke. Some said he kept a curse. Others believed he had stolen power from a spirit who now demanded filth as a price. But still, people respected him. They feared him because Ugo never lacked anything. His farm grew faster than others. His animals never fell ill, even when drought hit the village. Ugo's well never ran dry. Children began to fear bathing, joking that maybe water was evil. Mothers had to beat them to enter the stream. But deep inside, Ugo was hiding something. He often sat alone, staring at the trees. At night, the housemaid said he cried quietly, whispering something about a promise and the forest taking back what it gave. But every morning, he acted normal, angry, proud, generous when he wanted to be, but never, ever clean. Then one day, a young journalist from the city came to the village. Her name was Neka. She was tall, bold, and curious. I've heard of this rich man, she said, who fears bathing. I want to know why. The villagers begged her to forget it. You can insult our chief, but never question Ugo. He's not like us. But Neka wasn't afraid. She said, I've seen worse in the city. A man with money can't scare me. And so she went to visit him. She knocked on the great golden door of Chief Ugo's house. It creaked open slowly. The smell hit her fast. Old sweat, dust, herbs, and something else she couldn't name. Ugo sat at the center of the room, cross-legged, surrounded by burning candles. Who are you? He asked. I'm Neka, she said, covering her nose with a scarf. I want to tell your story to the world. Ugo's lips twitched. For a moment, it looked like he might smile, but he didn't. You want to know why I don't bathe? He asked. Neka nodded. Ugo stood slowly. His knees cracked. His back was bent. He pointed to a dark wooden box beside him. Open it, he said. Neka hesitated, then bent down and opened the box. Inside was something that made her fall back in shock. Her heart raced and her mouth went dry. She looked up at Ugo with fear in her eyes. What? What is this? Ugo looked at her and said only one sentence. Neka stared at the open box, her chest rising and falling. Inside, it wasn't gold. It wasn't a secret document. It was a decaying wooden comb covered in long black strands of hair, hair that didn't belong to Chief Ugo. And beside the comb was a faded scarf, stained with something dark, and beneath the scarf, a silver bracelet, cracked in the middle, with a woman's name carved faintly into it, Obiageli. Neka swallowed hard. Who, who is Obiageli? Chief Ugo lowered himself, his eyes distant, as if a name had pulled him back into the past. She was the reason I became rich, he said, his voice low, and the reason I will die alone. Neka said nothing. She could feel the story coming, like thunder before rain. I loved her, Ugo began, more than life itself. They were both poor then, two dreamers in a forgotten village. Obiageli was known for her laughter. It was said her laugh could heal a broken heart, lift the spirits of the dying, and even make a barren woman conceive. People would come from nearby villages just to hear her laugh. She was like sunlight, and Ugo worshipped her. But I was tired of being poor, he said, tired of watching her give joy to others while we had nothing. So one day he entered the sacred forest. He had heard the rumors. A spirit lived there, a shadow that granted wishes for a price. Ugo found the spirit. It appeared as a woman dressed in bones, her voice like wind through dry leaves. What do you want, child? She asked. Ugo knelt. I want wealth, land, power. I want to be a man worthy of Obiageli. The spirit smiled. Then give me what brings her joy. Ugo didn't understand. Her laughter, the spirit whispered, the light in her soul. Bring it to me. Confused and desperate, Ugo returned with the items the spirit demanded. Obiageli's comb, her scarf, her bracelet, all touched by her essence. The spirit performed the ritual and said, you will have everything you desire, but from this day you must never bathe, not even once. Water will wash away the pact, and your curse will return. The next morning, Ugo woke up with gold under his pillow. Land offers came in. Merchants sought him out. The chief begged for favors. Ugo's rise was instant and terrifying, but Obiageli stopped laughing. First her voice grew quiet, then her health declined. One day, she collapsed near the market. The healer said there was nothing wrong with her body. Her soul, it seemed, was simply fading. She lost her joy, Ugo whispered, and I knew I had taken it. Neka couldn't speak. The weight of his story pressed against her chest. Why didn't you stop? She finally asked. Why didn't you give it all back? Ugo looked at his hands, hands that had touched wealth, but now trembled with regret. I tried, he said. I went back to the forest, but the spirit laughed at me. A deal is a deal, she said. You can return what you stole, but only through water, bathe, and all shall be restored. Ugo knew what that meant. If he bathed, the pack would break. He'd lose everything, but maybe Obiageli would live. He returned home that day with the decision heavy in his heart, but when he reached their hut, it was too late. She was gone. No one knew where her body was. Some say she walked into the forest. Others said she turned into a bird and flew away, laughing one last time. From that day, Ugo locked away her memory, her comb, her scarf, her bracelet, and never touched water again. I built this empire, he said, to silence the guilt, but it never left me. I see her in every shadow, hear her laughter in the wind. Neka stood up slowly. Her recorder was still running, but her hands trembled. She had come to mock a smelly rich man. She was living with the story of a man haunted by his own greed. I, I don't know what to say, she whispered. Ugo looked at her, his eyes tired. Then say nothing. Just tell them the truth, that wealth is not always what it seems. That evening, Neka returned to her hotel in the next town. She uploaded the story, unedited, raw, real. Within hours, it began to spread. Comments poured in. Why do I feel sad for him? This made me cry. I'll never look at success the same way. But what shocked Neka most was what happened 3 days later. The villagers of Omachoko woke up to see smoke rising from Chief Ugo's house. They ran to the compound, fearing a fire. But there was no fire, only steam. Chief Ugo had finally entered a bath. They found him sitting in a wooden tub, eyes closed, body clean for the first time in 2 decades, and beside him lay Obayageli's bracelet, shining like new. He was gone. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes healing begins the moment we let go.